So on Saturday at Churchill Downs, they've got a all stakes pick six, the Derby City Six, and I think we ought to take a crack at it. But we're going to start by looking at each race individually. For those of you who like to play races on just one at a time, the first leg is the seventh race. It's the Wisedan Stakes. It's a Grade 2 running a mile and a 16th on the turf for 4-year-olds and up, and it's a small field. But it's a pretty meaty one. You've got Ottoman Fleet and Chasing the Crown, who are coming out of the Arlington, I believe it was last time, and you've got the hard knocker Johnny's Fireball and Win for the Money and Exalted, a couple of shippers, and Strong Tide, who normally runs at a mile and a half. Those longer races, he's a stayer, but does cut back in distance on occasion. So we'll take a look at them. We'll go through them one at a time, being a small field. And Strong Tide is cutting back from his last race in the Louisville, which was at a mile and a half. And he ran a decent second, I guess you could say. It was a merry-go-round race. Basically, it went 1, 2, 3 for the entire race. And Bold Act was certainly the favorite. And really, he just could not get to the front-running winner. And Strong Tide was able to stay in second. The Grey Wizard made a run late, but really was kind of just a nothing race. And I don't think you can take much from it. Those are the kind of races that usually horses running back don't fare terribly well, and particularly cutting back in distance from a shorter route than what Strong Tide generally runs at. To me, makes him kind of a non-player here. The best race that was his best race in the Louisville, and then he had run in a year. And at 7 years old, I'm just not expecting him to be able to repeat that. And again, I think there was a scenario that was a little more favoring to him than I think you're going to get here, particularly with a lot of horses running at a very similar type of running style. So I'm going to toss Strong Tide. Number 2, Ottoman Fleet, has really terrific back class. He's been running with the likes of Naval Power, Measured Time, and he's a model of consistency, and he has acquitted himself pretty well with those horses who, if either one were in this race, would be a pretty heavy favorite. He won the Arlington last time with I thought, relative ease, despite being a little rank early, which he can get on occasion. You just have to respect the connections. Charlie Appleby, Flavian Pratt aboard. And I just think on class, he would be the horse to beat here, and he is my pick to win. Chasing the Crown, though, closed well in the Arlington, and now he's coming into this race third off the layoff after a peak effort. Mike Maker is 21% with that angle, and he's had a very productive Churchill Downs meet. His barn is going really well right now. Chasing the Crown, the only thing that's ever been a bother for me with this horse is he tends to be second a lot. And there always seems to be somebody better. And, in the last race in the Arlington, he closed very well, but I think it might have been a case, and it can be a case if he leaves himself a little bit too much to do late. However, he may have a pace scenario that will help him to overcome what has been a bit of an issue for him. He certainly loves to compete. He's in the money quite often. And again, third off the layoff for a horse who might be getting good at 5 years old. He's ready to run another peak effort, I think. And Chasing the Crown, to me, is certainly one of the top 2 in this race without exception. Johnny's Fireball has been done pretty damn well, being a $50,000 claimer. He always seems to find his way into the money. I think he's just a hard knocker who likes to compete. I don't like him to win here. I just don't think he's fast enough. But he does always seem to find his way into the mix. Had a nice win in the last time in an optional claimer at $100,000, where he took over in the stretch after rating behind a leader with soft fraction. So it was a pretty candy ride he got. May have a similar scenario here, but he also may not. We're just not overly certain about the pace. Probably going to be a little quicker. So that would, certainly the slower the pace, the more it would help his cause. But again, being a hard knocker, I think you're going to get a price, and he's one that just always seems to find his way into the mix. And I like him for the bottom of the try. or the Super. I'm not sure about second place. I think there's probably others I like a little better. Win for the Money to me is an interesting horse. He had it all his own way in a romp in the Mr. Steel. He tended quick fractions, just sat off him, and then he drew off convincingly off the bench. Really big effort. Now, the only thing is, of course, it was at Gulfstream. And as we know, form doesn't translate terribly well from Gulfstream to other tracks. However, one thing you can say and Win for the Money's favor is he has carried his track to other places, including Colonial Downs, where he did get a win. So it's not out of the question that he could run a good race here. He still has a chance if he can get the lead. I think he's going to have to slow it down a little bit to have an optimum chance to win this, and he may very well. This is one of those races, it's quite conceivable that you're going to get whoever's on the lead will be by default, and because you don't have a confirmed front runner, the others may be a little skittish, and it could end up with being a slower pace than maybe it's expected. If that's the case, Win for the Money has the possibility of being a spoiler. If he can slow it down, he has won at longer distances or been effective. Then I think that maybe he has a chance to upset the apple cart here at a price. He would certainly be my value pick in this race. And I think he's one that you have to include in the mix. And, it's going to be tough to hold off Ottoman Fleet or Chasing the Crown. But with a right scenario, and, if Ottoman Fleet has traffic issues or whatnot, then Win for the Money, very possible. Exalted is kind of an interesting shipper coming from California. He hasn't run since September, and this is a horse who's really become very potent since staying at a mile on the turf, and he put together a really nice win streak. The only thing I've got to question, Peter Yurton doesn't ship without a reason, and he's a really solid trainer, and Juan Hernandez aboard is certainly a plus. I'm just worried that at 7 years old, coming off the bench, probably the best time to get him, perhaps, but this is a little longer than he normally runs at a mile and a 16th, and he may not be as effective. And moreover, I just don't see him having the top end to get by Ottoman Fleet or Chasing the Crown. So this is a race. It's not easy to toss horses, but I'm just kind of going on the fact that this one it hasn't run in quite some time, and it is coming from California where the class is a little dubious. And I'm sorry to keep saying that. I do love California racing, and I know they're having it tough right now, and I really hope things turn around because to me, late afternoon, early evening, if you want to keep playing the races, Santa Anita is a great place to go, as well as Del Mar. So wish them the best of luck there. But for this race, I'm going to let Exalted go. So we take a look at our wagering strategy. I think Ottoman Fleet's the one to beat, and I'm going to put him on top. If we can hopefully get something like 2-1, maybe a win bet on him. The value horse would be Win for the Money, number 5. I think we'll get a halfway decent price, hopefully, on him. The exacta, we're going to do a 2-3 cold with Chasing the Crown, and then we'll put Ottoman Fleet on top with the Chasing the Crown and Win for the Money in a key, and then we'll just try trifecta key with 2 on top with 3, 4, 5, and hopefully we can get Johnny's Fireball in that mix to drive up the ROI. But to me, pretty straightforward. I think class is the issue here, and to me, Ottoman Fleet is the one to beat based upon his prior record and who he's been running against. I think this is a kind of a soft field for him.